Unless you've been living under a rock, or have been stranded on a desert island without Wi-Fi, you've read that there's a live-action Sonic movie coming out in February of 2020. Now I'm going to break down both Sonic trailers and try to find all the Easter eggs, break down scenes, and see if we can figure out if it will be a good movie or not. Now I'm going to be breaking down the trailers, not all those little clips. Maybe I'll do those guys later. Without further ado, let's take a look.
Oh, give me a big fat break!
Moving at speed of sound, quickest hedgehog around. Found ourselves in a situation, stuck in a new location without any explanation. No time for relaxation. Gotta go fast, gotta go fast, gotta go faster, 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 faster. Gotta go fast, gotta go faster, 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 Sonic X.
Okay, I'll try to ignore the nightmare fuel Sonic and focus on everything else. Let's break this trailer down. Okay, so the trailer starts with Sonic running past a sign that says, "Welcome to Green Hill," which is clearly a reference to the Green Hill Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog. You'll be seeing a lot of references to the Green Hill Zone in both trailers. One other thing about this sign, it says the population is 1981, which could be a reference to the speedy racing game Sega made before Sonic, which is Turbo, which was made in 1981. Next, we will learn that Tom, who is the guy right here, is a policeman of a small town of Green Hill. Next up, we see Sonic zoom past Tom at 760 miles per hour, which is interesting because the speed of sound is about 761 miles per hour. Guess Sonic isn't going quite as fast as he can here? Moving on, we see Tom, probably looking around, finds one of Sonic's quills, which you'll be seeing a lot of in this trailer. If you look closely, you can see electricity or energy off of the quill, which seems to be a big part of the plot, but we'll get into that later. Next up, we see Sonic has a secret hideout in a cave in the forest, where he seems to collect a lot of stuff such as shoes, balls, stop signs, bean bags, and much more. Now, the reason Sonic collects shoes is because he runs so fast. His shoes wear out fairly quickly, which you can tell because of all the holes. Okay, next we see Sonic turn on his radio, shows us his horrifying proportions of his body, and then he says the iconic line,
Gotta go fast.
which, in case you missed it from my whole theme song, is the main theme of Sonic X. Now, there is one other interesting detail. When Sonic is getting ready to run, we see the electricity run up Sonic and then go into his eyes, which then glow as they go in. I have a theory that the electricity gives Sonic energy and the ability to go fast, or when it goes into his eyes, to see and react fast as well. Or maybe I'm looking too much into this one. Whatever the case, we then see Sonic run past the sign and Tom, since he's in the exact same spot from earlier in the trailer. We then learn that somehow, I'll get a bit more into how later, Sonic caused an energy surge that knocked out the power in all the Pacific Northwest.
20 minutes ago, an energy surge knocked out power across the entire Pacific Northwest.
So the military hesitantly hires Dr. Robotnik to figure out what's going on. Skipping ahead a bit, we see that Sonic and Tom decide to work together and go on a road trip, probably trying to escape Robotnik and his military, and maybe trying to find something. I don't know, that's usually how it works. Okay, next up we see Sonic do his iconic spin dash. sound effect and all, and knock down Dr. Robotnik's car thingy. Then a bit later in the trailer, we see that Dr. Robotnik finds one of Sonic's quills, and probably the one that Tom found earlier in the trailer when he's searching Tom's house, which we find out a bit more about in the next trailer. Then we see Robotnik get zapped from the quill, which could give him a bit more energy, causing him to start dancing as we see in the next trailer. Or maybe Dr. Robotnik's just crazy, I don't know. Moving on, we see Sonic save his friend, Tom Wachowski, by throwing a ring and it becoming a giant ring, which in the games were portals to bonus areas. Sonic seems to use them to teleport wherever he wants. We then see Sonic running from Robotnik's flying jet, and we see that Robotnik is looking more like Robotnik from the games. Unlike earlier in the trailer where he was wearing a black suit with little glasses. We then see Robotnik's ship, as well as a bunch of his drones surrounding Sonic and his friends. But then somehow Sonic seems to go even faster than normal and almost freeze time. Maybe near the end of the movie, Sonic learns to go even faster. Also, he does his iconic foot tap. In the next scene, there isn't much to break down, except for this girl that showed up a few times in the trailer. Well, as it turns out, her name is Anne. And as it turns out, she could either be Tom's wife, or is related in some other way. Also, it is very likely she joins them on their journey, possibly around halfway through the movie.
Smells like body spray and an old ham
Here's a very interesting scene. In the final scene, we see Robotnik looking more familiar in his game to his game counterpart, holding Sonic's quill in the container, in a place with giant mushrooms. Alright, so first off, I have to wonder if Robotnik gets more and more obsessed with fighting Sonic till he finally cracks and becomes full Robotnik. Why else would he go from his neat black suit with a nicely kept mustache to looking like this? Next thing is, it would seem like Robotnik found a way to get into Sonic's world, because it would seem like he is in the mushroom zone from the first Sonic the Hedgehog game. As for how he got there, I would say he used Sonic's quill. As for why he went there, it's hard to say. He could have gone there to try and find the Chaos Emeralds, but that's not the most likely. My guess is that he's looking for something like Sonic's quill to power a robot army. But he could also be trying to get Sonic's powers for himself somehow, or try to have the city run off of Sonic's quills. Let me know what you guys think up in the comments. And that's all I could find in the first Sonic the Hedgehog trailer. But the next trailer has some even more interesting information to uncover. Okay, so this trailer starts out in a beautiful recreation of Green Hill Zone from the first Sonic game. You can tell by the tiles, waterfall in the background, bridges, and even tiki poles. But this makes me wonder if Earth and Sonic's world are parallel worlds. I mean, there are two Green Hill Zones. What if Tom is Earth's version of Sonic? Moving on. In this shot, Sonic is very reminiscent of many other Sonic game and TV shows, with him looking up, ready to race. Sonic says that everyone on his Earth were always after his powers.
On my planet, people were always after my powers. So I came to yours.
Which works into my parallel world idea. But in this movie, Dr. Robotnik could be Earth's version of Dr. Eggman. Yes, Dr. Robotnik and Dr. Eggman are different guys. But I'm not sure if we'll actually see Eggman in this movie, except for maybe when Robotnik goes into Sonic's world. His assistant guy could be one of Eggman's robot minions in the Sonic world. That would be interesting. Moving on, in the next shot we see Sonic reading the flash, which is pretty fitting. Then in the very next shot, we see that Sonic is doing all of this in his secret hideout from the first trailer. And over on the left, I believe, is his radio as well. Next we can see a bowl of balls, which you'll notice that Sonic has something with balls throughout this trailer. Possibly because he turns into a ball when he spin dashes?
My God, stop the car right now! What? The world's largest rubber band ball? We gotta see it!
No, this is not some fun family road trip.
You're right. It was lame. Gift shop was cool, though.
Anyway, we can also see a white glove up top, which means that he could switch out gloves. But probably not. Next up, we see that he has a lot of racing and road stuff in his hideout, such as deer signs, trophies, a racing flag, and a lot more. Second layer, you can see that Sonic is playing ping pong on a sign that says Hilltop Road, which is, of course, a reference to the Hilltop Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Then we see Sonic using some sweet nunchucks behind the radio. If you look at Sonic's headband, you can see that is the hole that Sonic comes out of in the title screen of many Sonic games. Except it doesn't have Sonic in it. This is one of my favorite parts of the new trailer. Moving on, if you look closely during the basketball match of
Sonic!
versus
Also Sonic!
you'll see that Sonic's hat has the initials GH, which stands for Green Hill. Next, Sonic runs really fast around the bases of the Green Hill Zone's theme. And then causes an energy surge that knocked out the power in all of the Pacific Northwest. Supposedly. Because both trailers give different, yet similar versions of the power going out. But I think the second trailer is more likely because we see the energy flow from the baseball field into other buildings, causing the power to go out. I do have to wonder if this is foreshadowing for when Robotnik tries to use Sonic's powers. Maybe we'll be overwhelmed from the power in the end. Next up, we see a much better version of Sonic and Tom's encounter, but this time, Sonic is holding a ring, as well as a sack. Now, we see Sonic with this sack later in the trailer, so I think that this sack holds Sonic's rings. Also, the song that plays afterwards sings Not sure if it will have anything to do with the movie, but it is a reference to when Sonic gets all the Chaos Emeralds and becomes Super Sonic. Next up, somehow Dr. Robotnik is tracking Sonic and is led to Tom's house. Robotnik being able to track them is quite likely why they go on the road trip later in the movie. Next up, we see Robotnik's robots searching for Sonic in his hideout, which must have drove him to hide out in Tom's garage. Sonic sheds some light on what else Robotnik is up to by saying,
If they steal my power, they could conquer the universe.
I still have to wonder if Robotnik will use Sonic's powers to build a super robot army, or put Sonic's powers into him, or something like that. Next up, we see that Dr. Robotnik has Sonic's quill, but clearly hasn't met Sonic yet.
Wait! Don't hurt him!
So using what we saw from the last trailer, he must have searched the place and found proof that Sonic was there by finding one of his quills, and then threatening Tom to tell him where he is. In the next shot, we see Tom's mailbox with a picture of a dog on it. And we'll see in a bit, as well as Dr. Robotnik's finding one of Sonic's footprints, which kind of makes me wonder how they're tracking him across the country, but whatever. Then we cut to another shot of Robotnik busting out some moves. Then we see that Sonic and Tom stop at a bar called the Princeton Pit. Inside you can see alcohol and cigarettes on the table behind Sonic. Never thought I'd have to say that sentence.
That's no good.
And then up above, we see some interesting stuff. I've never been to a bar, so I don't really know what this stuff is about, but they say stuff like, "Yo mama, dodge the draft, bottom of the barrel, and take a knee." A little later, we run into the same scene from the other trailer, but this time Robotnik's reaction's a little different. Sonic says,
Here comes the boom!
which is a reference to the DVD Sonic Boom, Here Comes the Boom, which contained the first 8 episodes of Sonic Boom. Huh. Okay, so next we see Sonic being chased once again by Dr. Robotnik's jet, which means Sonic probably went off-road, and this likely takes place during the 3rd act of the movie. What's interesting is that Sonic may be in Paris, as hinted by the truck that Sonic slides under. I also see Sonic running from the jet in the desert and on the Great Wall of China later. So my theory is that Dr. Robotnik is trying to get Sonic's power here, and Sonic keeps changing places with his rings, and Dr. Robotnik follows him through. My proof is Sonic going through a portal in the last trailer in Paris, as well as Sonic holding his sack of rings on the Great Wall of China and going through another portal. In the next scene, we see what's most definitely in the climax, with Sonic using a lot of energy and facing down Robotnik in his flying jet/drone thingy. Some have theorized that Sonic has gone supersonic right here, but I think he's just releasing a lot of energy to be even faster and more alert. I also think this is probably right about before Robotnik steals Sonic's powers, but it could be after. I also bet Sonic gives up his powers to save Tom or something like that. In this next scene, we see Sonic doing all kinds of stuff, such as having a pillow fight with himself, hanging in a drawer, or having the on edge animation from Sonic the Hedgehog. That's really cool. We also see Sonic watching something called Gopher Broke, which is apparently the first movie Robert McKimson directed. Who knew? Skimming ahead a little, we see Robotnik unleash a bunch of missiles at Sonic, possibly in the same spot as we saw the standoff earlier. Next, we see Sonic running from something and using 2 pieces of metal as a kind of skateboard, which is likely a nod to Escape the City in Sonic Adventure. We then cut to Sonic being chased by Robotnik's jet thing in the desert during the portal chase. It would appear that they are in Egypt, as hinted by those pyramids. And finally, we see the jet chasing Sonic on the Great Wall of China. And then when you look closely at the end, you see that Sonic goes through a portal to Egypt, which pretty much confirms my theory. And there you have it. That's all the things I could find in both Sonic trailers. Do you think this movie actually looks good now? Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe as well as ring that bell so you can be notified when a new video comes out. And with that, try your best to forget about the old Sonic design. Trust me, you'll sleep much better at night.
Meow?